For today's Pooks post, the writing is on the wall about digital marketing impacting the value of senior attorney led law firms. So let's look at that. That is, we absolutely see in the early part of the mid 2020s that the writing is on the wall for today's senior attorneys. That is, for today's senior attorneys who are attorneys that have practiced more than 30 years. When it comes to business development, today's clients search for their lawyers online, which is markedly different than the pre Google era. In the pre Google era, which is really how and when most of today's senior attorneys built their books of business. And that era was really defined by here's my business card, right? In that pre Google era, senior attorneys handed out, that is today's senior attorneys handed out thousands upon thousands of business cards. They built their reputations on a word of mouth manner, so that when people were looking for attorneys and they would ask their friends, their colleagues, their relatives of who do you know, they would say, oh, well, you should contact this attorney, or let me give you the card for that attorney, or meet the attorney at a given event. And here's my card. Please feel free to give me a call. The writing on the wall today is that clients don't even ask for business cards because they just go straight to Google, other forms of digital content that they'll search for, and they'll search for the best fill in the blank attorney near me. Hence why so few of us are reordering our business cards as regularly as we did in that pre 2020, really the pre Google era. So now let's look at that just a little bit differently. What we're seeing in the marketplace is that post 2020, there is an ongoing shift in consumer behavior. That is, that the law firms that are investing in multi-channel digital marketing, they are attracting more clients because those clients by and large are going to Google to be searching for their lawyers. Then they're also seeing whether and how their lawyers are participating in and how active they are among various different social channels. LinkedIn is an example. How often are they posting? What type of content are attorneys and law firms posting to LinkedIn? What Facebook groups do they belong to? What types of YouTube videos are they publishing where they can watch those videos and really get to know, like, and trust their attorney before they would even meet that attorney? They want to see and are reviewing the Google reviews of lawyers and law firms today. And then when they want to meet with their lawyers, they don't want to get into their car for as convenient as that was in yesteryear. It's a heck of a lot more convenient today to meet via video platform such as Zoom or Teams. And for those attorneys that are maintaining only a website-only approach, and many of today's senior attorneys continue to maintain that website-only approach when it comes to digital, they're just attracting less clients than they did in yesteryear. It's important also to just consider, how else from a societal standpoint, okay, has that consumers have migrated to convenience, right? That is, as we're considering how the legal industry continues to shift digitally, let's just take a moment and really think and speak about three non-law examples of how consumers have migrated to convenience in this digital world that we've all been a part of for 30 plus years at this point. And those three examples are Amazon, right, which surpassed the revenues of Sears in 2011. Uber surpassed ridership of the New York City yellow taxi in 2017. Okay, I mean, what is more iconic than hailing a taxi cab in Midtown Manhattan? But now it's just so much more convenient to just go onto our Uber app, order the Uber, know what type of car, know the license plate, know where that taxi cab driver, where that Uber driver is going to be picking us up from. And Netflix, right? It was so convenient in yesteryear to go down to your local Blockbuster to rent a video. Well, today we can just go on to our Netflix app, or we can use our remote control at home. And as Netflix's motto says, watch what you want when you want. And just from a comparison sake, right? The Blockbuster motto was be wind and be kind and rewind. So in terms of the legal industry, right? As we're thinking about the marketplace for the legal industry, as this writing is on the wall in terms of how today's would-be clients are searching for their lawyers. That writing on the wall that the consumer behavior has changed and the consumers today, that is, would be clients, are searching for their lawyers online. What we are absolutely seeing in the mid 2020s is that those senior attorney led firms that are maintaining a website only and are really relying upon that pre Google era of how they built their practices from a word of mouth standpoint, we're seeing that their revenues are actually going down, because if you're not being found by would-be clients, then you're not going to be retained by as many clients, and your revenues are actually going to go down. When it comes to senior attorneys that are contemplating the sale of their law practices during the course of this decade, we want to point out that what is it that senior attorneys have that growing law firms, which is primarily the purchaser of today's law firms, it's mostly growing firms that want to be purchasing senior attorney led firms. Well, what is it that senior attorneys have that growing law firms want and need? And what we show here is four components of synergy value. And those four components of synergy value consist of instant client growth, that is that book of business that senior attorneys developed during the pre-Google era. The combined workforce, right? You have at your firm lawyers, support staff, the senior attorney founder or founders themselves. That combined workforce adds to the capacity of legal services that growing law firms can offer to their clients, the clients that a senior attorney brings to a growing law firm, as well as expanding to add new clients to a growing law firm. Third part of synergy value is the cumulative expertise. That is what the lawyers at the firm have developed in multiple, well, not necessarily multiple, but several typically practice areas over the course of their careers, and the marketing value, the content that senior attorneys have to offer. We really call this treasure troves of marketing value that senior attorneys just don't have the time today to be publishing articles to LinkedIn, to be hosting or appearing on podcasts, to be posting to Facebook, to be doing YouTube videos. All of these aspects of multi-channel marketing, digital marketing, that just make senior attorneys today just say essentially gavalt, it's too much, right? But when they join growing law firms, those growing law firms want and need that marketing value, that treasure trove of digital content that senior attorneys offer. Now, in terms of timing, let's just look at that book of business, right? When it comes to what growing law firms want and need from today's senior attorney led firms, is that all important book of business that senior attorneys developed over the course of their careers, right? They built a book which consists primarily of clients and referral sources. The but, though, is that as the writing is on the wall, that senior attorneys are not going to attract as many new clients today if they are not investing digitally. If you're not investing digitally and not attracting new clients to your firm via multi-channel digital marketing, well, unfortunately, your book of business is going to not replenish as much as it did in yesteryear. And from the standpoint of succession planning for your practice, if your book of business is not filled with clients, filled with referral sources, in reality, your law firm is going to be worth less as more time goes by, because you're not replenishing that all important book of business. So when it comes to the writing on the wall, right? The writing is on the wall that today's clients search for lawyers online. The significance of that writing on the wall is that if today's senior attorneys are not attracting as many clients as you did in the pre-Google era, then your law firm is going to lose value over time. The good news for today's senior attorneys is that when we analogize the digital shift in today's consumers to the non-legal industry, the analogy to other businesses that have now gone by the wayside. So the examples that we bring up are Sears and Blockbuster. We just don't go to Sears anymore. We order everything and anything today on Amazon. We don't go to Blockbuster today. Instead, we order and watch our movies and our shows via Netflix and other forms of streaming. Both Sears and Blockbuster, though, they were left with, let's call it inventory that's just useless. For senior attorneys, though, it's much more analogous to where we are today to Uber and taxi cab medallions when we think about the writing was on the wall, right? We mentioned earlier that Uber surpassed the New York City yellow taxi in 2017. But absolutely for sure, with Uber entering the market in 2009, the writing was on the wall in the early 2010s if you were a taxi cab medallion and had still value in that medallion. Same in a lot of respects for today's senior attorneys. You have books of business. Your book of business may not be replenishing as much as it did in yesteryear. And years from now, as the 2020s progress, your book of business is going to become less valuable. In terms of that writing is on the wall, growing law firms, they want and need your book of business. And when our clients join growing law firms, they actually replenish the value of the book of business, particularly because growing law firms, they do invest in multi-channel digital marketing. They're going to start reaching out to your clients and your referral sources to be able to offer legal services to those clients for whom you would receive credit in terms of law firm sales, because the sales that we structure today are primarily what we call law firm sales 1.0, where senior attorneys are getting paid a percentage of the revenues that come in from that book of business. So in that respect, it's even unlike the taxi cab medallion, right? That is, the taxi cab medallion owner in the early 2010s did much better by selling the medallion before Uber just absolutely fully disrupted the marketplace. The disruption in the legal marketplace today is multi-channel digital marketing. Unlike the decreasing value in the taxi cab medallions, though, when senior attorneys are taking those books of businesses, joining growing law firms, those growing law firms are growing the book all over again, and senior attorneys financially benefit while they are practicing at those firms. And by the way, no longer having to manage your own firm, and they're benefiting from practicing as well as when they retire, and they're able to benefit by sharing in the revenues that come in from that book of business over a negotiated number of years. But we must emphasize that writing is on the wall the same way that Sears saw it, the same way that Blockbuster saw it, the same way that taxi cab medallions saw it. We see it very clearly that in the multi-channel digital marketing era, what we call the 3.0 digital era in the legal industry, for those senior attorneys that are not adopting multi-channel digital marketing, their books of business will decrease in value, as will the eventual sale values of their law firms.